The parade ground was silent except for the sharp echoes of boots striking concrete under the bright morning sun. Hundreds of recruits stood in perfect formation, watching as a young woman was ordered to step forward alone. Her hands trembled, not from fear of punishment, but from the memories she had spent years trying to bury. Then came the cruel command that made every heartbeat around her seem to stop. She was told to remove her uniform in front of everyone. No one knew that hidden beneath that fabric was a scar carrying a secret powerful enough to silence one of the most decorated SEAL generals in American history. Before we continue, if you believe kindness is stronger than cruelty and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Journey of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories that remind the world compassion still exists. The young recruit's name was Rowan Mercer. At 24 years old, she had survived more hardships than most people experienced in an entire lifetime. Growing up in a forgotten farming town, Rowan had learned early that life never handed out easy victories. Her father disappeared when she was only 6, and her mother worked endless shifts cleaning offices just to keep food on the table. Every dollar mattered. Every dream seemed impossible. While other children spent weekends at birthday parties or playing sports, Rowan spent hers repairing fences, helping elderly neighbors, and reading borrowed military history books from the local library. Those books became her escape. They spoke of courage, sacrifice, and honor. She dreamed that one day she would wear the uniform not because it looked impressive, but because she believed protecting others gave life purpose. At 16, everything changed forever. One summer afternoon, a devastating house fire swept through her neighborhood after an electrical transformer exploded during a violent thunderstorm. Rowan had been walking home when she heard desperate screams coming from inside a burning home. Without thinking about the danger, she ran through flames to rescue 2 small children trapped upstairs. She managed to carry them outside moments before part of the roof collapsed. The children survived. Rowan barely did. She spent months in the hospital recovering from severe burns across her back and shoulders. Surgeons worked tirelessly, but the massive scar stretching from shoulder to waist could never disappear. It became a permanent reminder of both unbearable pain and extraordinary courage. The local newspaper praised her bravery for a few weeks before the world moved on. Rowan quietly continued rebuilding her life. Years later, after countless physical therapy sessions and relentless training, she earned acceptance into one of the toughest military preparation programs in the country. Many doubted she could complete the physical demands because of her injuries, but Rowan never asked for sympathy. She simply worked harder. The training academy was famous for creating elite soldiers, but it was equally notorious for its harsh traditions. Some instructors believed humiliation built resilience. Others simply enjoyed reminding recruits that weakness had no place in uniform. From the first day, Rowan became an easy target. Some recruits whispered that she only got accepted because people pitied her. Others mocked the stiffness in her shoulders caused by old burned tissue. They laughed whenever she struggled during flexibility exercises, never knowing the agony hidden beneath every movement. Instead of fighting back, Rowan stayed silent. She believed actions would eventually speak louder than insults. Week after week, she consistently finished near the top in endurance runs, navigation exercises, and leadership evaluations. Quiet determination slowly replaced first impressions, yet a handful of instructors refused to acknowledge her accomplishments. One instructor in particular believed Rowan was hiding something. Master Sergeant Coulter Gaines had built his career on discipline. He trusted rules more than people. When Rowan occasionally requested additional time after strenuous exercises to treat her healing skin, he interpreted it as weakness. One bright morning during a full uniform inspection, Gaines noticed slight irregularities beneath Rowan's combat jacket where protective medical padding rested against her scars. Instead of asking questions privately, he decided to make an example of her. In front of hundreds of recruits gathered across the training field, he accused Rowan of wearing unauthorized equipment beneath her uniform. The accusation spread through the formation like wildfire. Some recruits lowered their eyes. Others watched nervously. No one dared interfere. Gaines ordered Rowan to remove her jacket immediately. She obeyed. Then he demanded she remove the undershirt as well so everyone could verify she was not violating regulations. The request froze the entire field. Rowan's breathing became shallow. She had spent years hiding the burns not because she felt ashamed, but because strangers often stared with uncomfortable curiosity. Those scars belonged to painful memories she rarely shared. For several endless seconds, she stood motionless beneath the blazing afternoon sun. Then, with remarkable dignity, she slowly reached for the edge of her undershirt. At that exact moment, a convoy entered the academy. Standing among the visiting officers was retired Navy SEAL General Aldrich Voss, a legendary commander invited to deliver a leadership address. As he stepped onto the parade ground, his eyes naturally followed the unfolding disturbance. Then he saw Rowan's back. The massive burn scar covered nearly half her body. But it wasn't simply the scar that shocked him. Near the center rested a small, faded birthmark shaped almost like a crescent. General Voss stopped walking. His expression changed instantly. Every conversation around him faded into silence. He stared as though decades had suddenly collapsed into a single heartbreaking memory. Without saying another word, he marched directly toward Rowan. Master Sergeant Gaines immediately straightened, expecting praise for enforcing discipline. Instead, the general's voice thundered across the field. He demanded to know who had ordered a recruit to expose old combat-related injuries in front of an entire battalion without first verifying medical records. Gaines attempted to defend himself by explaining he suspected unauthorized equipment. General Voss never raised his voice again. He simply looked at Rowan with quiet sorrow. Years earlier, while serving overseas during a humanitarian operation, Voss had received a letter from a grateful mother describing how a teenage girl had saved 2 children from a deadly fire despite suffering life-threatening burns herself. Enclosed with the letter had been a newspaper clipping showing the remarkable rescue. He had never forgotten the photograph. The same crescent birthmark visible beside the burns confirmed what his memory already knew. This was the courageous teenager whose bravery had inspired hundreds of deployed soldiers far from home. The general slowly removed his own ceremonial jacket. Without hesitation, he draped it across Rowan's shoulders before she could fully remove her shirt. The gesture stunned every witness. An officer of his rank rarely showed such personal respect publicly. Then General Voss addressed the entire academy. He reminded every recruit that true warriors never humiliate people simply because they have visible scars. Real strength, he explained, meant recognizing sacrifices hidden beneath appearances. He asked Rowan whether she wished to continue serving. She answered with unwavering determination. Despite years of surgeries, constant physical pain, and endless doubt from others, she had never stopped believing she belonged there. The general smiled for the first time that morning. Later that afternoon, Rowan's complete medical and service records were reviewed. Every protective pad she wore had already been officially approved by military physicians months before. The inspection should never have happened. Master Sergeant Gaines realized his assumptions had nearly destroyed an exceptional recruit's dignity. That evening, he visited Rowan privately. Without excuses, without pride, he apologized sincerely. Rowan accepted the apology with quiet grace. She understood something many never learned. Forgiveness did not erase pain. It simply refused to let pain define the future. News of the incident quietly spread throughout the academy. The recruits who once mocked Rowan began seeing her differently. Not because a famous general defended her, but because they finally understood the incredible journey hidden behind her silence. Some asked about the fire. Others thanked her for inspiring them. Several admitted they had judged her unfairly. Slowly, loneliness disappeared. Training became less about competition and more about teamwork. Months passed. Rowan graduated near the top of her class. During the graduation ceremony, General Voss returned as guest speaker. This time, he personally presented Rowan with the Academy's highest leadership recognition, awarded not for physical strength alone, but for extraordinary resilience, humility, and compassion under unimaginable pressure. As she accepted the award beneath the warm afternoon sun, applause echoed across the parade ground longer than anyone expected. Many recruits wiped tears from their eyes. Even Master Sergeant Gaines stood among the loudest voices applauding. He later admitted Rowan had taught him the greatest leadership lesson of his career. People often carry battles invisible to everyone else. Judging them before understanding their story can leave wounds far deeper than any physical scar. Years later, Rowan became an instructor herself. Unlike those who had humiliated her, she greeted every nervous recruit with patience. Whenever someone struggled or doubted themselves, she remembered standing alone on that parade ground. Instead of breaking people, she built them. Her classes became known throughout the academy for producing confident soldiers who respected both strength and kindness equally. On the wall of her office hung only one framed photograph. It showed two smiling children standing beside a young burn survivor outside a hospital many years earlier. No medals surrounded it. No newspaper headlines. Only a simple handwritten sentence beneath the frame. The strongest hearts are often hidden behind the deepest scars. If this story touched your heart and reminded you never to judge someone by their appearance, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to Journey of Kindness for more inspiring stories that celebrate courage, hope, and compassion. Special request. Before you leave, please comment with the words, "Scars don't define strength," if you believe kindness can change someone's life. As the sun slowly disappeared beyond the academy buildings, Rowan looked across another class of hopeful recruits beginning the journey she once feared would end in humiliation. She smiled, knowing that one act of compassion from a general had transformed not only her future but the culture of an entire academy. Her scars never disappeared. They never needed to. They became living proof that the deepest wounds can become the brightest symbols of courage, and that true honor is measured not by perfect skin or flawless uniforms, but by the strength to rise after pain and choose kindness anyway.